Okay, now we're in section 5.2, and we're going to look at the responsiveness of demand to other factors. And so there was a question, is when we're calculating elasticity, is it always going to be a percentage change in quantity demanded over a percentage change in price? And the answer is no. And I'll give you one example right now of another type of elasticity that we'll calculate. This is income elasticity of demand. So the numerator is still percentage change in quantity demanded, but now the denominator is percentage change in income. And so, for example, if your income increases by 10%, so the denominator is 10, what's going to happen to the number of bus rides you take? So let's say the percentage change in income is 10%. What's going to happen to the number of bus rides you take? For some people it will fall, because maybe they buy a car, right? And so it might be, say, negative 10%. And therefore, the income elasticity would be negative 1. Now, there's something very important, a very important difference here. For income elasticity of demand, we care about the sign, because it could be positive, it could be negative. In this example, when your income went up, quantity demanded fell. We're talking about bus rides, and sometimes that's argued to be an inferior good. Right? But for most goods that are normal goods, when your income goes up, quantity demanded also goes up. And so what determines whether a good is normal or inferior is, in fact, the income elasticity of demand. If it's positive, we say it's a what? Normal good. Normally, an increase in income leads to an increase in quantity demanded. So it's positive. But if an increase in income leads to a decrease in quantity demanded, this will be negative, and we'll call that an inferior good. So keep in mind, for income elasticity of demand, and also the next one that we'll talk about, cross-price elasticity of demand, we care about the sign. For price elasticity of demand, we don't care about the sign because we know it's always negative. So sometimes we talk about the absolute value, but we're not going to do that here. So this figure just summarizes what we just said. For a normal good, an increase in income leads to an increase in demand. And the same, and the other side of that is a decrease in income leads to a decrease in demand. So that's what I was just saying. But for an inferior good, the reverse is true. Okay, and then I mentioned earlier cross-price elasticity of demand. And here we have, it's similar to price elasticity of demand. But remember, when we're talking about bus fares, we talked about how the quantity demanded of bus rides falls with a change in bus fare. That's price elasticity demand. Cross price means another good. So a very important cross price elasticity that transportation economists are interested in is, what's the cross price elasticity of transit rides with gasoline prices? So driving and taking the bus are what? Complements or substitutes? Substitutes. And so if the price of gasoline goes up, people are going to be more likely to take the bus, right? But these are two different goods, right? One is gasoline, one is bus rides. So we would have here a percentage change in the price of gasoline causing a change in the percentage change in quantity demanded of transit rides. And so, for example, if we had a 10% increase in the price of gasoline, and that led to a 20% increase in the number of transit rides, then the cross-price elasticity would be 2. Again, we care about the sign. The fact that this is positive means these goods are substitutes. But we might have two other goods, like, let's say, Coke and Pepsi. There, let's say the price of Coke goes up by 10%. So the price of Coke goes up by 10%. The quantity demanded of Pepsi should go up. So how come my last example didn't make sense? Price of gasoline goes up, bus rides go up. Well, those are also substitutes. So I'm trying to find an example of complements. Coke and Pepsi was a bad example. Scratch that. Who wants to give me an example for complements. Donuts and coffee. Okay, so let's talk about complements. Say we're talking about donuts and coffee. If the price of coffee goes up by 10%, then people are going to buy fewer donuts. Maybe the quantity demanded will fall by 20%. So we have a negative 20% fall in quantity demanded of donuts. And so then the cross price elasticity between coffee and donuts is -2. And so that means that they are complements. And here is a handy figure that shows, that summarizes these differences. So if an increase in the price of good B caused an increase in demand for good A, then they are substitutes, right? So the price of coffee goes up, the price of bus rides goes up, then that increases the demand for gasoline, and vice versa, right? The price of gasoline goes up, that increases the demand for transit rides. So those are substitutes. But for complements like coffee and donuts, increase in the price of coffee leads to a decrease in the demand for donuts. So notice, before with price elasticity of demand, we had an increase in the price leading to a decrease in quantity demanded. Here, we have an increase in the price leading to a change in the demand, not quantity demanded, right? Because an increase in the price of a complement or substitute is a demand shifter, right? So anyway, that's really all there is in this section about the complements and substitutes and cross price elasticity of demand and income elasticity of demand.